Hello, 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 and welcome to my Facebook Live and to the YouTube replay because I will be uploading this straight to YouTube afterwards. So hello, my YouTube friends. Whew, okay, I am a little nervous about today's live for lots of different reasons, but I am here. I'm grounding my energy. Had a shaky couple of days and I was determined to still have a powerful transmission, and I've been doing the work behind the scenes, all my feminine practices, some of the sacred dances that I love so deeply that return me back to my truth, connect me back to spirit, and connect me back to my body, because it's so important to reconnect back to your essence, especially as a woman, really moving that energy through your body. So I am here. I am ready to deliver this live at the best abilities that I can, even though there's some vulnerability that I am feeling. And that's really important for me to share with you because we are taught a lot as women, men too, of course, but women, that we really shouldn't be sharing our vulnerabilities, especially like with a man, right? You want to be a little tough. Don't let anybody show your softness. Don't let anybody show don't show your insecurities and things like that. And I feel like this can be taken in two different ways because there is such thing as vulnerable weakness and vulnerable strength. Vulnerable weakness is when you really do like cave into those insecurities, to those weaknesses, to your emotions, and you just kind of like, oh, I'm powerless. So that definitely, you don't want to lean into that energy, but you do want to show up in vulnerable strength, which is like, my heart feels like this, and when you do this, it bothers me. Or me coming on here live and sharing that like, I'm a little anxious, I'm a little nervous, but I'm still here and I'm going to deliver a powerful transmission. So I'm still feeling my feminine heart, which is so important, but still standing in my truth. And that's so important when it comes to calling in the man of your dreams. And then when you call him in, maintaining that throughout the relationship and not pretending to be someone hard and tough and I don't need a man and all of these things, because that, number one, isn't going to call in for intimacy. It's really not. How can someone be intimate with you if you are putting up a shell around your heart and not really sharing like the depths of your soul and the depths of your heart? That is what creates true intimacy in a relationship, especially when you call in a man that can hold that and allows you to feel safe. So I know that this can be very triggering for some women who've been in very unsafe relationships, like I have been in those unsafe relationships where sharing my vulnerabilities, even if I was in my truth, was still scary and uncomfortable because that person would then throw it back at me. But that's really because I was operating in my shadow feminine. I didn't really know how to fully stay in that strength and stay in that power. Instead, I just submitted to everything that he said as if it were true versus standing in my own personal identity. I just caved into his, right? So I was operating in my shadow feminine. When you know your divinity, when you're operating in your divine feminine essence, you can share your vulnerabilities and still stay strong, even if that person rejects it, because then you know, you're like, sorry, boo, you're not for me, next in line. I send you out with love, no harm, but you're not the one for me, right? So that's why I really wanted to share with that up front. And it's really good for me as a speaker to say what I'm feeling so that I don't pretend to be something that I'm not, like pretend that I don't feel this anxious or this shakiness within me, because then I don't deliver as powerfully. And I want you to see the human in me too. I want you to see that I am just like you, with insecurities, with shit, you know, and it happens, but We still have to show up in life. You still have to show up in your career, in your relationships, as a parent, as a sister or a daughter or whatever it is. We still have to show up to the best that we can that day. And feel our hearts, because it's so important as women to stay connected with this. We have been taught to disconnect with this part of us, and this is our strength. Your feminine heart is your strength as a woman and in a relationship. The masculine craves a woman who is very much connected to her heart. A divine awakened man craves that, right? Because men are really a lot up here in the consciousness, in the head space. That's how men operate. Women were more down here in the body and in the heart. So it's so important when we come into a relationship, creating that sexual polarity with our feminine heart, to bring him down into his heart as well. Okay? So, okay. Now, for the transmission. So, before I begin to talk about the subject for today, I do want to let you know that at the end of the transmission, I will be talking about the program that I'm offering right now, the Liberated Woman in Relationships. So after the transmission, if you feel like, yes, I want to learn more about what you're offering, stay tuned to the end, or of course you can catch it on the replay. It'll be still up, and I will also upload it to YouTube so you can watch it on there as well, and I'll link it up here on top of the description after I've uploaded it and all of that. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so for the transmission, I really want to level with you as woman to woman, almost as if we are sitting in a living room talking together. It is so important for you to feel my heart at what I'm going to share with you, because relationships, I'm not sure about you, but for me, relationships was one of my biggest pain points in my life, like the biggest pain point. And I know for a lot of women, it is too. And if you're here, perhaps you also had really past hurtful, strugglesome, suffering relationships, or maybe just really unhealthy, dysfunctional dynamics in your intimate relationship. So first I want to say, I see you as a woman to woman, and what you went through. Probably some of you went through deeper and harder, worse things than I went through. And I know I went through a lot of pain, and I know women go through way worse. So I honor you in the fact that you're here, that you left a relationship like that, even though it could have been one of the hardest decisions that you made, or it was one of those things that you were like, you know what, I just know that I'm done. Either way, both of them require so much strength and so much courage. So I want to speak to that part of you and honor that part of you, and honor the part of you that's like, I am so ready for like a healthy man. Like, I know I deserve more than what I've attracted in the past. I know I deserve more than these men who didn't see me, who didn't fulfill me, who just always kept trying to mold me into something else, or the sexual polarity was off, or whatever it was that you're like, I'm just so done with that. I'm ready to call in the man of my dreams for sacred partnership, an awakened man who can see me and who can hold me and all that I am and all that I am becoming. Because let me tell you, you are a woman and we are always evolving. We have vast expressions, and it takes a solid man to really hold a woman who is in that. Okay? Because a woman who is in her feminine essence, in her divinity, truly aligned, you don't suppress shit. You're going to express yourself. You're going to evolve. You're going to change. We are the visionaries of the relationship as well. because we're the oracle of the relationship. We are connected, more naturally connected to divinity and intuition than men are. Men, of course, have it too. They have special gifts that we women absolutely adore and want and respect in a man. But there are certain gifts that we offer a relationship that we need to honor and that we need to really step into. And the first thing I want to address about that is that we have multiple expressions. We're not set up to be like a man and operate like a man, waking up with the same emotions and the same energy and hormones. Literally, we have different hormones every single day of the month. I have some dogs here, so if you hear barking and I have to shush them, I apologize if I hurt your ears because I can be very stern, but they can get a little feisty if they hear noises. So I apologize in advance. I will try to hide I'll try to do something. Oh my gosh, alignment with where I am today. Just sent a vulnerable message and then saw your live. Oh, how awesome. That's perfect. I love those synchronicities when it's just like, you know what? This is how it is. I recently just sent a letter to someone, a very open, heartfelt letter. And yeah, it's important to share and then like bring ourselves, keep our alignment, keep our truth. Be good, girls. Okay. So what it takes to call in the man of your dreams. It's not about all the manifestation things. It's not about, sitting down in your couch or your meditation pillow and visualizing him and your relationship, or creating a space in your drawer or in your closet, or, walking around town and pretending you have a man in your hand. I'm sure you probably heard of these things, and I'm sure they probably worked for some people, and I'm sure they do work. Of course they work, because you are visualizing and you're calling something in. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. Because first of all, I didn't really quite do all those things, number one. And then number two, because how I called in the man of my dreams and how I'm going to teach you to call in the man of your dreams, which I think is the most pure and potent way that you can, is by you embodying your feminine essence and falling in love with yourself first. That is how you call in the man of your dreams. Because when you embody all of your feminine divinity, you fall in love with you. You are a magnet. You radiate. Because as the feminine, we are naturally the negative pole. We are naturally magnetic, which means we draw energy to us. Men are the positive pole. If you just think about their penis, it's erect, it's going for something, right? If you think about our yoni, our sacred temple, which literally that's the translation for yoni, it draws energy in, right? So when you understand that, first and foremost, over anything, do you feel the power in that already? Like, me just being in my divine feminine essence, my juiciness, my yumminess, my rawness, my unpolishedness, me embodying just who I am and falling in love with me is what draws him in. Yes, you want to set it out there to the universe like, hey, I am ready for a man and this is what I want, because I did that. That works. But it's not about obsessing over that. It's about obsessing over you. And who you are and who you are being and how you are showing up in life and in your relationships and when you're dating. And relationships meaning like just friendships, coworkers, your clients, whatever it is. How are you showing up as an embodied woman day to day? Most women are operating in a place of an overcompensated masculine energy and a suppressed feminine or a shadow feminine, or an overly wild feminine. So what I mean by those things. So when you're operating from your shadow feminine, you're going to be either in the suppressed area or in the like no filter, trauma projecting, wild, sexual energy everywhere, no control over your emotions, no control over how you choose to express certain emotions, and you're just like blah, wilding out everywhere. Both of these extremes are not going to be healthy and calling in the man of your dreams. Because the man of your dreams is in his divinity, right? He's not going to want someone who's just wilding out and someone who is or suppressed either, because she is not in her fullest expression. He's going to call in, your king is wanting a woman up in the queen level, a woman in her divinity. So when you're walking around in your shadow, you're going to call in a man just equivalent to that. He may show up with a false face, right? With a false like, oh yeah, I am your king. But really no. Over time, he's going to show you what he really is. And same with you. You may show up as like, yeah, I'm a queen. But really over time, you can't hold that up if you really don't know your identity as a woman. Okay? So we want to shift out of that. We want to, because I know you're done with that anyways. I know you're done with that part of the shadow feminine that you have been operating in. You already know that hasn't brought anything good. So I really don't want to spend a lot of time on that anyways. I really want to spend a lot of time on talking on your divinity and talking to the truth that you feel here in your heart, that you feel in your womb, that you feel in your soul. Let me just take a sip. This is my Friday mug. Okay. So how do we tap into your divine feminine essence? Number one, I already mentioned, to tap into your heart. Feel your vulnerability. But there's 4 specific archetypes that I want to talk about that are really going to help you tap into this area. Now, there's a lot more archetypes for the feminine. I've seen so many, like 10 or 12 and all these things that it's just like, that is just way too much. That is just way too much for my mind to try to embody 12 or 10 different feminine essence. Like, I just simplify it. 4 is like the most simplified way, and I feel the way that it's most digestible. And then there they go. And then if you, Darla, and then if you want to explore more options, you can go ahead and explore more of those on your own. So I'm going to talk about first embodying the enchantress inside of you. So the enchantress, it's hard for me to say that word, enchantress inside of you is the one who is really deeply connected with her sexual energy. Your sexual energy is so powerful. Even if you have it suppressed, it is still so powerful, as we can see how men just gravitate to our feminine bodies. Whether you have it suppressed or not, it's just something that we are. We just have this energy about us. Remember, we are the negative pole. We're the ones that draw the men in. So men are naturally like attracted to that. And I say that in a way of, I don't know if it's like endearment is the right word, but I say that in a sense of power. For us, that we have this power, and that men are naturally like, just like surrender into it, and they just want it. So men have some issues with that. The divine masculine is already worked through some of those things. Your dream man has worked through a lot of those things already, in terms that he's not like, you know, just like chasing after females. You know what I mean? He knows his sexual energy and he knows how to control that. But I want to talk about your sexual energy as a woman and embodying that so that you can become even more magnetic and you can be connected with your body. Because women, we have been very much taught to disconnect from our body. We have been taught to either, in the shadow feminine, extremely be overly sexualized and have no respect for our bodies and for our yoni, our sacred temple, and give ourselves to men too fast. Give ourselves to men too fast, where it does a few things, as a matter of fact. Number one, for the man, it ends the chase, okay? And not that you want a man to be like playing, you don't want to be playing a game, but there's a thing with men and their psychology with conquering, right? Number one, it does that. And number two, we are meant to connect with men biologically, like through sex, through intercourse, so that we can procreate with them, so we can have a bond with this man. So when you're overly sexualized, you are decreasing that bond. As a matter of fact, it reduces a lot, so that you can actually have a really long-term committed relationship. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of practices where you can remove a lot of the energies and re-establish that connection within yourself, your sexual energy, and that space in your yoni that's very sacred, that creates this long-term bond with men. But we have been taught to overly express that, right? Overly express the sexual energy, or there's the complete opposite part, which is where we are the suppressed feminine, and we are being like the good girl, you know, like the one that's like the virgin until she gets married, or like doesn't really express her body, her words, her life the way she wants to, because she's been put in a box of what society wants her to fit, or what men have told her, specifically your father growing up, right? Because all of our father wounds are they're gonna come back in our relationships big time, right? So typically what our fathers have told us, either we're gonna rebel against them or we're gonna try to fit in that box. Me personally, I've rebelled against that, right? So when you are in your divine essence, with your sexual energy, with the enchantress archetype, you know how to harness this energy so that you are deeply connected with your body, and you can radiate this magnetism that men cannot like get their hands off. Like, you know what I mean? Not literally touch you, but like they just can't keep your eyes off of you. And it just has nothing to do with your looks, because I know that you have seen women that you perceived as like, why that woman doesn't feel as good looking in my eyes, but men are just like magnetized to her. That's why. She is deeply connected with her body and with her essence and with her sexuality. And it's a very, very powerful energy. It is also a creative energy for your life and what you're trying to create. Sexual energy creates babies, right? It's the most powerful energy, but that's not the only thing that it's creative for. It's also creative for what you are wanting to co-create in your life. Example, calling in the man of your dreams. If you're here, you want to co-create a life with the man, right? You want to create this reality for yourself. This is why it's so important for this sexual energy to be embraced by you, not leaked out, and not suppressed. Okay? So that's the first part of embodying your divine feminine essence, and a section of calling in the man of your dreams. Are you fully expressed sexually with yourself? Okay. Fully expressed sexually, I just want to be very clear, does not mean that you are having sex with multiple people. That's not what I mean at all. Fully expressed sexually is that you are comfortable with your body, you are comfortable with your sexuality, and you are comfortable to surrender yourself to the man that is for you. Okay? The second, so are you that? Are you able to be in that, and to be in that energy? Are you able to embrace your sexuality? And when the time comes to be intimate with a man, can you fully express that energy? Do you know when it's the right time to do that? okay? That's the first archetype, the enchantress. The second one that I want to speak about is the oracle, your intuition. Now, this is part of your divine feminine essence of calling in a man that knows, she just has that intuitive of what, like, if the man is right for her or not, right? Because you're going to feel that. You're going to intuitively feel in your body if you should continue a relationship or not. Why do we stop that? Because our shadow part is trying to connect with our old, like our inner child wounds and trying to stay connected to this man, even though we know that he is not good for us. So embracing your oracle, awakening your oracle, your intuition, your connection to your higher self, your connection to spirit, your connection to source, whatever it is that you identify with, that feels true to you, this is the part that I'm speaking to. Your oracle is the one who's going to feel that intuitive pull of even just to where to go out to dinner and shit like that. Like where you're going to go on the weekends. You know, you may feel like an intuition to go to a certain restaurant or something like that. And boom, that's where you meet your person or not. And when you meet someone, you're going to have that intuitive knowing of like, this is the one for me. The other part of the oracle that I want to talk about is the one that has that fierce knowing and that fierce love, that knows how to protect her heart in a way that honors it and speaks up. Your oracle will do that. Your oracle will know, your intuition will know, like, no, you don't, this is not acceptable for me. And you can see things too, right? Like in a relationship, you can see something with your partner that you may feel off about, you may not know. Like, let's say if you're dating and then either you're like, you know what, there's something about this that's off, or it becomes revealed to you, or when you actually start really dating, you become a relationship, you're going to be able to sense that, like that something is off, and you're going to probably not even have words of what to describe, but you feel it, and it may feel crazy if you try to explain it, but it's so important for you to express that and to honor it. This is the part that men need the more help with, because men are not necessarily really attached to these energies. They are more attached to the consciousness, to like to the doing, to the going, to the moving forward. They're not always as connected here in their bodies and in their heart and can sense certain things like we do. So expressing that is so important when you're calling in the man of your dreams, so that you're not being shut down in a relationship, and a man can hold that with you. If you don't know how to express yourself off the bat, then you're going to call in a relationship that is going to challenge you in that. As a matter of fact, that's what they're going to do. You're going to call in someone who's equivalent to that shadow, and it's going to call you to rise up, to meet your oracle where it's at, to meet your fierce truth and to express your fierce truth. That is what the oracle is all about in your intuition. Okay? This is more like the dark feminine energy, right? These two energies are that dark feminine that work with more of the deeper inner energies of the divine feminine, of your divine feminine essence. So then the light feminine, we're going to talk about the maiden, okay? So the maiden, she is the one that's more outwardly expressed, the one that shows up into the world in her authentic expression, in her curiosity, in her ambition of like, the best way that I can describe the maiden is she is connected with the spring, the season of spring. So if you know spring is coming out, they're blooming. So that is what your divine maiden energy looks like. She is out there, she is blooming, she's starting to become unapologetic, she's showing all her colors, she's expressing herself, coming out of like the darkness, right? Coming out of the dark feminine energy and more into the light. So the maiden, okay, this is the one where most women, either like when they are in their more suppressed energies, try to stay locked in the light feminine energy because the maiden is kind of like the really innocent, you know, sunflower dresses and just kind of like that innocent vibe, which then leads into the mother, which is more of the like the nurturer and this is what society has kind of showed us that this is what is acceptable. And these are really what I believe is one of the most of the energies that either people are rebelling out of or trying to embody, but to to an area that becomes suppressed and you're not expressing your dark divine feminine expression. So the mating, the light energies is important to be embodied with your dark feminine energies, right? Which is why I always teach with the dark feminine energies first. And then I move into the light feminine energies, because if you're not embodied in your dark feminine energies, when you go into the light feminine, you're not going to be truly authentic. You're going to think you're authentic, but you're being authentic in the way that other people want you to be authentic. Your ambitions are going to be skewed on what other people's ambitions are. And you're going to just be in this mother role of like, oh, I'm just the nurturer and just this. And then you end up, the polarities in your relationship are going to become like, you become the mother and he becomes the child. You don't want that either, right? Calling in the man of your dreams means that you are anchored in your energy and all of your feminine essence in the dark and in the light feminine. He's also anchored in his masculine qualities and his dark and his light feminine, or masculine, so that you can show up in your fullness and express that area in the relationship and keep that sexual polarity. Does that mean that the man of your dreams is going to be perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Does it mean that he's going to be perfectly embodied in his energies and you're going to be perfectly embodied in yours? No. He's not perfect. You're not perfect. Me and Ron have actually had to work through these. Our last initiation in April is where we really initiated ourselves into our masculine and feminine polarities, because we had for about a year and a half kind of swap. We started to come out of it. I was becoming more in the masculine role, which becomes more the mother and the parent. And he was bringing into more of the lean back child role. It was very nuanced and very subtle, because we are in an awakened relationship, so they weren't very obvious as in a shadow embodied relationship where it's just, you can just tell it's like extreme and there's a lot of tangled up energy in that. But when you know your feminine essence, when you're in this place, you love who you are, you know you're a woman, you embody everything about being a woman, you can call this out when it happens. You're gonna call it out when it happens, because I called it out when it happened. It took about a year and a half. I was feeling this energy, but I had no idea what it was, because it was the first time that I ever experienced that. I called it out. I was in my oracle truth of saying, there's something off here. There's something off here, right? And there was a lot that we had gone through in that time. So my divine feminine essence, my oracle was able to call something out that I saw in the relationship. That's why it's so important for you to be embodied in your feminine essence and to not suppress it, because then you can't really have this embodied relationship where you both are being you, and can actually create the relationship to start to crumble longer than what it really needs to be, you know? Okay. I really want to get back to the beginning. Now I'm going to say this is very awkward for me to do live. But I started strong and I just felt my energy wobble a little bit. So I want to come back. And I want to speak again to you. I'm going to take this off because I really can't see my face. I feel like that's actually distracting me. Okay. To call in, I was just checking at the time because Ron's going to be here in 30 minutes. I don't like to hear him to hear me talk on lives. What it takes to call in the man of your dreams is for you to be embodied with your truth. With your truth as a woman and knowing your worth as a woman. Period. End of story. Now, some of the archetypes that I just spoke about are the archetypes to be embodied in your truth. There are just 4 major ones. You can go ahead and explore more of those after if you want, but these are the 4 that really awaken your divine feminine essence. Especially the dark feminine ones, because those are the ones that have been suppressed or overly exposed, exploited or viewed wrongly. Embodying your truth is what's going to call in the man of your dreams. It's not being someone else. It's not saying certain words in a conversation to sound sexy, flirty, or innocent, or whatever, because I've seen things like that too. No. What it takes to call in the man of your dreams is being in the truth of who you are as a woman and falling in love with yourself. If you do not love yourself, how can you expect a man to love you? If you don't know how to express your truth with yourself, how do you expect to express that truth with a man that can hold that? Right? If you can't harness your own sexual energy, how are you going to express that sexual energy in a divine, sacred partnership that's fully surrendered and just like, take me? If you're not comfortable with your body, which is the enchantress inside of you, are you really showing up fully? If you can't handle your own magnetism or dare to even express your own magnetism, how is your king going to see that? Like, that's what's going to call him in. So, I said a lot of words today. I said a lot of words of archetypes and different feminine and everything, but I really want you to feel into the truth of that one statement. Calling in the man of your dreams is about falling in love with yourself and being in the truth of you as a woman, as an embodied feminine being. That is how you call in the man of your dreams. That is what he's going to be magnetized to. The caliber of a man that you are going to attract when you know who you are and what you stand for, and you can express all of your feminine, all of these 4 archetypes, all of your vast feminine expressions. The man that you attract is going to be like that. And I want to help you awaken this part of you. So this is going to complete the transmission. I'm going to now go into the components of this offering that I have. So if you are complete, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching all the way up to here. And I hope that something that I said, anything that I said, a little sentence or the whole transmission landed in your heart at some way. Because I want to tell you that you are worth the type of man that you envision in your dreams. You've always been worthy of that. Number 1. You've always been deserving of that. Now it's time for you to see that and to call that in, to awaken your feminine essence so that you can be in your divinity and call in a man in his divinity. That's really what it is. It's saying goodbye, having an ego death of all the past ways that you've operated, and step into your queenness to call in your king. Okay. So, the liberated woman in relationships. There's a reason why I called this program The Liberated Woman in Relationships. And it's very obvious from what I just said. What are you doing? Did you hear that? She's chasing a fly. So the liberated woman in relationships is a woman who is fully expressed in all of who she is. Because the liberated woman is going to call in a man who is going to be able to hold her in that liberation and not try to suppress her or put her into a box or leash her down. No, that is not the kind of man you're calling in. You're calling in a man, the man of your dreams is like, wow, I adore this woman. She is like, she knows who she is. She isn't scared to show it. She's unapologetic. I love her freedom. I love her liberation. I love how she expresses herself. I love her truth. I love how she always can see things and shares it with me. I love how even though she has this really powerful energy, she can also surrender into my arms. And she can also be soft in her own way of what soft means. And she can be in her gentleness and her nurturingness. And she nurtures the home and makes it feel like a home, right? That's why this program is called The Liberated Woman. So you are liberated to be you. To be you and all of who you are. And that's so much as a woman. There's so many expressions that you have as a woman. Okay, so that's why I called this program The Liberated Woman in Relationships. So you can call in that man that can hold that liberation, that feminine expression, your divine feminine essence. So the way that the program is built is that it has 3 main pillars, and each pillar is going to be broken down into certain modules that are going to help you de-armor certain aspects and then awaken certain aspects. So the first thing that we're going to start with is the masculine wound energy. So we're going to start with de-armoring this hard shell that you have around you from past pains that you've had in your life, from your father wounds, from past relationships, from other things in life that maybe not necessarily were with men, but with other people, that you started to become closed in and in a shell, hardened, you're protecting yourself and things like that, and scared and feel unsafe to really fully express yourself. So what happens is when you're operating your shadow feminine, the masculine, because the masculine energy is the protective energy, it's going to come out and it's going to overly protect because it's trying to protect the feminine energy because the feminine doesn't feel safe. In you, the shadow feminine doesn't feel safe. So the masculine's going to come out with the warrior, his shield, his sword, and just like protect the shit out of the princess. But the princess is now ready to be a queen. And once the queen comes up, the knight doesn't have to protect anymore, because that's what's happening. It's more of like the knight that's coming out when you're in this overcompensated masculine energy, reactive, defensive, don't show any feelings, show control, just show a little vulnerability, but not a lot, cry just a little bit, but not all the way. And like all of that type of energy, that is your overcompensated masculine energy. as well as he can show up either way in relationships as avoidant, like retrieving from relationships once you feel uncomfortable, or anxious attachment where you're like overly doing, like no, like let me fix this. That's also the compensated masculine energy. So we're going to de-armor that. That's the very first thing that we're going to do, is take that armor down so that your heart can expand, right? Because that's what it really is. It's an armor around your heart when you're in that overcompensated masculine armored energy where it's like shield and swords all around here. You're going to block off love coming in because you're so protected. And a lot of the times that energy is unstable, right? Because what I mentioned is either anxious or avoidant, or you're like anxious avoidant attachment, right? Where you're doing both. So we don't want that. We're going to de-armor that. That's the very first thing that we're going to do. Then we're going to go into your father wounds and your masculine wounds. We're really going to release some of that sacred rage, that probably, or sacred sadness that you have from your father, from past partners and all of that. We're going to release that. And then we're going to go into, that's the first module when it comes to like to the masculine area, right? Because we want to soften into our feminine. So we're going to start with that. We're going to get that out of the way. Next, we're going to go into the dark feminine energies, right? First, talking about the shadow aspect and how to express your shadow. Because what happens when you're operating in your feminine, in a shadow energy, is that you can trauma project onto your man. And we don't want that. We don't want to trauma project your energy, nor do you want to suppress it, right? Because there's two extremes that happen when you're operating in the shadow. So I'm going to teach you how to take that energy and how to harness it and to express it in a way that you like unleash that fire and know how to tame that fire. Because if you think about fire, because shadow energy and all of this, hey, enough. You guys are ruining my life. It's like wildfire, right? So if you're trauma projecting, imagine like a wildfire in California or in Australia. Like that fire is untamable. And that's really what happens in a relationship when you're just trauma projecting. It's untamable, right? So there are certain things that you yourself, not somebody else, learn how to manage and where to release that fire, that it's safe. Then afterwards, you have the conversations that are needed, right? So shadow, and just releasing as well through that. We're going to release a lot of the things that went on with the first two modules. So important, so juicy. And the embodiment practice for that is all in like movement and primal expression. So freaking good and therapeutic. Next, we're going to go into the enchantress, which I've already talked about that. And the embodiment practice, oh my God, it's so juicy. Oh, the playlist, so good. And you're gonna feel, number one, so connected to your body, so connected to your own sexuality, and learn how to either awaken it or how to bring it in, right? If you're like just have too much sexual energy that you are expressing, learn how to bring it in, how to bring it into your body, connect with yourself. And if you have it suppressed, you're gonna awaken this. And you'll be surprised at how vulnerable it can be to be like this with yourself. It's so good. The next module after that is going to be the oracle. So we're going to really connect you with your intuition and really awaken that part of you so that you are so good at like catching those red flags, and that you are so connected with your red flags and green flags, and that you are connected with yourself. So you listen to your own intuition and you no longer deny that, and you trust that going in as you are dating, as you are having potential suitors, and as you go into that relationship. Okay. The same thing with the enchantress. We're going to talk about how and when do you open up your yoni? When do you open up your sacred temple? This is all important conversations that we're going to be having. Then we're going to go move into the light feminine energy. And the maiden, right? After we go into the dark, now we're coming out into the light. Now we're going to be in our authentic expression. What is true authenticity to you, now that we've de-armored and gone through so much, like now that we shed some layers and started to awaken here, awaken there, now that your intuition is awakened, okay, what is my authentic expression? How am I going to show up in the world? Because the light feminine is really more how you are presenting yourself into the world. Right now we're embodied in the dark feminine. We're moving into that light feminine energy. Okay. That, and the practice for that is so good. It's really another sacred dance, and for you to really start expressing yourself authentically in the privacy of your own home. Because if you cannot do these practices on your own, how are you going to be able to really show up in life? So these embodiment practices is for you to get really comfortable with yourself in your feminine expression as a woman, and to learn your body, to learn like how are you moving. That's going to show insight for you, and it's going to be so much fun, and can be a regular, and it's meant to be a regular practice in your life that is juicy and so much better than sitting down and meditating, which that has its time and place. But there are certain times where you need to actually activate certain energies through your body and through movement, so you can get reconnected with yourself, reconnected with the divine, and get those clarity and insights, or use it as manifestation practices. Okay, then we're going to move into the mother archetype, which is, this is more like the nurturer. This is the one where we're really going to tap into your self-love, right? Your self-love. Fall in love with yourself to call in the man of your dreams, to be the energetic match for a man who loves you, right? To be the energetic match for a man to fall in love, to find the man of your dreams, and for a man who loves and adores you, is for you to love and adore yourself and to nurture yourself. And always nurture yourself when you're just having a low day, and to nurture yourself like that inner child within you that really needs that warm, loving hug, a non-judgmental embrace for you. Like, can you do that for yourself? Have you done that for yourself? And I want to take you through an embodiment practice for that, to really give yourself the self-love. The way you're going to call in the man of your dreams is by giving yourself what you want him to give to you. You want a man with security, you have to embody security within these practices that I'm going to be taking you through. As when you awaken your feminine, you with the practices that I'm going to give you, and then as you practice this yourself, and you start to integrate it in your life, integrate it while you're dating, integrate it just in your daily interactions, you are naturally awakening. Hey, get out of there! What are you doing over there? Little brat. She's been dying to go over there. Okay, so as you're awakening your feminine energy, your masculine is also in the part that creating safety within yourself is going to also be awakened, because the two always go kind of hand in hand. I've noticed whenever I've strengthened my inner masculine, my feminine has become more expressive. As I've started to waking up my feminine, my masculine has strengthened by being my own safe container to express myself. So that's what we're doing with these embodiment practices. We are setting up the container of your own safety, and learn what it feels like to be safe to express yourself. That is so important, to create that safety within you. Once you realize what that safetiness looks like, you can attract that, and you can see it when the right one comes. And you're no longer available for a man who is not a safe container. That's what these embodiment practices do. Not just are they yummy and juicy and like fun and like, oh, I just feel so good, I feel connected with myself, or very primal and like fiery and empowerment, and also raw, allowing you to release emotions that have been inside of you that, oh my God, once you release them, you feel so light. It's not just about that. It's also about creating that safety for you. Once you know what it feels like to feel safe within yourself, and how safe it is to actually express certain things, and you are being non-judgmental with yourself, you're being loving, you're being there, you're being that gentle observer, it's like you start to ingrain those codes of like, oh, like subconsciously and consciously, like this is what it feels like to feel safe in a relationship, because you are becoming that yourself. You follow? So this is why it's important with all these embodiment practices and everything that I'm going to be teaching you. And then at the end, I've added a bonus module because I've realized, I was like, okay, yeah, obviously awakening your feminine, but hello, let's talk about what are the things that we actually want in a man. What are we actually putting out there in the universe with our words and with our intentions and with our visions? Because that is important, right? So we're going to do that after all of this. And then we're going to do a Q&A and a closing ceremony. I'm going to set you off into the world to be the hottest woman on the table. All the potential suitors coming to you and they're like, yeah, that lady. And you're going to have, you're going to know. You're going to know. You're like, nope. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Let's see what's up. And call in that one. These are all the things that I had to do with myself in order for me to call in the man of my dreams. I really had to fall in love with myself. I had to awaken all of these energies. And when I met Ron, I was just scratching the surface of this. The one thing that I can say that was my biggest thing was like, I no longer want to be leashed in a relationship. I'm going to be completely and 100% honest with who I am. And that's what I did. I showed up fully. I did not censor myself. And it was like magic. It was just like magic. God was like, okay, you're ready. Here you go. And as I've created safety within myself, I called in a man who was safe, who was in his divine masculine expression, and I've been able to deepen my feminine practices. All the things that I'm going to be teaching you are things that I have embodied to maintain this relationship and to attract it in it. So you don't have to be like all the way fully expressing your feminine. You could be scratching the surface like I was. I was scratching the surface when I met Ron. But I was committed to me first and foremost all the fucking time. I am my number one priority, and I'm still my number one priority. And that's the energy that I want to bring into this container with you. You are the one. You already are the one. It's a matter of embodying that and becoming that so that you are the energetic match for that person. Okay? So we begin November 14th, which is a Monday. It is $555 for paid in full. Okay? Or there's 2-month and 3-month payment plans. 2-month is $311. 3-month is $211. I have to say that slow because I get it confused. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to answer them. The program is 5 weeks long and it's 2 modules a week. So you're going to get a transmission, a embodiment practice, a break, a transmission, and embodiment practice. Then we got the weekend, and then we start back again on Monday. Thanksgiving break, we will not be going live on that. You'll just have time to catch up on the 3 modules and, practice it, which is a perfect time to practice a lot of the things that you'll be learning since you're going into Thanksgiving. And we know already meeting with family can be triggering, so the practices will help with that. And to start stepping into your feminine energy and your power. And 5 weeks together. And we're gonna, just before the holidays, and then set you off into the new year. By the way, if you decide within the time that we're working together, or if you are really looking for a deeper coaching, you can absolutely upgrade into one-on-one coaching, and then I'll take whatever you're already putting in and add that to into the total package for the coaching. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me. So that is it for today. I know I was a little bit wobbly in like the middle of that transmission. As I mentioned, I've had this wobbly energy and I didn't have any notes. But I pulled it through at the end and I delivered what I came here to deliver and delivered the power and the potency that I wanted towards the end. And that's what it's about. And all this is doing is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's making me stronger in my own integrity and the power of my word, and as a coach and as a woman, because I'm only going to get better after this. So I hope that was at least a good demonstration of just showing up, to show up for yourself, right? This is what this program is about. It's about showing up for yourself as a woman. Show up for you. Don't be unapologetic. Embrace all of who you are. Awaken those areas that have been suppressed. The parts of you that are overly, leaking energy, call that energy back into you. Call that energy back. When you do that, the caliber of man that comes in, that you are an energetic match for, is going to be a high caliber of a man. It's going to be the man of your dreams. It's not going to be these boys. It's not going to be those boys. And together, you guys create a sacred union of like expansion, right? Because you guys are always going to be growing together. So that is it for today. I love you. And if you have any questions, send me a message and I will talk to you soon.